So presenting for PayCargo today will be Mr. Leo Flessler, Director of Business Services, responsible for the implementation and growth of the PayCargo solution in the European market. Hello, Leo. Leo will explain to us how PayCargo's online solution can allow NAP members to move cargo quicker and reduce payment costs. On our panel, Mr. Lionel van der Walt, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
President and CEO, PayCargo Americas. And thank you, Lionel, for being here with us so early. Lionel has more than 20 years of international executive leadership experience, over a decade with IATA in various leadership roles, including president of CNS, IATA's US cargo subsidiary. Post CNS, he served as CEO at the International Institute of Building Enclosure Consultants. Mr. Adri Reinders, CEO PayCargo International, global thought and business leader with over 40 years within the IT industry. Published author, initially a board member of PayCargo LLC, Adri was tasked with establishing the operation outside of the US. Hello, Adri. Welcome. Mr. Pramod Rao, co-founder and CEO Nexshore Technologies, a company focused on product development and enterprise services. Pramod has over 23 years of technical and senior management experience in development, marketing, and sales. He will be showcasing how Nexshore and PayCargo work together on an integration with OneRecord for the IATA hackathon in London. Hello, Pramod.
Thank you, Muriel. Hello.
Last but not least, on our panel, NAP founder and CEO, Mr. Christos Spyrou, who most of you know. Hello, Christos.
Hello.
So some housekeeping about how the webinar will be held. It will last about an hour. There will be a first part with the presentation as on the agenda and a second part with Q&A session. You will submit your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom window, and Miss Jelena Babic, hello Jelena,
hello.
Our Network Business Development Manager, who most of you also know, will be noting and asking our panelists to answer. If you come up with more questions, suggestions, and recommendations after the webinar, please feel free to email us. We will be recording this webinar. I think it's also live on YouTube, and we will make a summary afterwards with all the important points and questions raised. So I would like to now welcome Leo on the stage. Leo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much all. Very nice to meet you. My name is, again, Leo Flessler. I'm Director of Business Services for PayCargo Europe. I'm with PayCargo since practically the beginning. I was responsible for the prototype of the product, and then later I took care of many different integrations between PayCargo and steamship lines, airlines, and ground handling agents. Now, for 2 years, I'm in Europe working on the international platform. And today, what I would like to show you is basically the future, how we envision the future of the settlement system. And in order to do that, I would like to start making the presentation to see if you are okay. Are you all seeing my screen?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, perfect. So just a little background about PayCargo. The PayCargo started 11 years ago in the US as a payment solution for the freight industry. Since then, we grew, and we grew a lot, and became the #1 payment solution in North America in this sector. 2 years ago, PayCargo has decided to expand its business to Europe by developing a settlement system. It's basically an expansion of the solution that we are offering to automate the invoice presentment, validation, payment, and reconciliation process. We received a very positive feedback from our customers in Europe, but we started also hearing the same question over and over again. can I use PayCargo to pay my overseas freights? So in the last year, we are currently working on the process of expanding the PayCargo solution to the global market, allow international settlement payments from the same platform and at the very competitive rates. We think it's going to be a positive innovation in our industry, and we would definitely want new solar partners to be part of it. Just FYI, last month, PayCargo raised $35 million from a high-profile investor, Insight Partners, to escalate our business and make us the #1 global cargo payment solution. So the presentation that I'm going to give is basically explain what PayCargo is and what PayCargo does, in addition to some slides that we added for IATA's OneRecord, provided by Nexshore, which is one of our strategic partners, and I would like to share with you our impressions about the integration already made with them during the hackathon, and as Muriel said before. What we are an electronic settlement and payment system for the whole cargo industry. We allow importers, freight forwarders, and agents to simply pay all cargo-related transactions in one single place. Last year, we signed an agreement with IATA to jointly offer the air cargo industry our solution for the import air cargo sector where cash import is not present. Also, one of the good we are very good at is we provide unique electronics tools to automate the settlement process. We are very good integrating systems, and we are doing it fast and usually at no cost. These are some of our major payers and vendors. It's important to mention that in our world, the payer is basically the freight-related organization who is willing to pay for an invoice. Usually our payers are freight forwarders, but are not limited to. In some cases, we see that freight forwarders is also receiving payments through our platform. Also, the vendors are suppliers. It's the supplier company invoicing for cargo-related transactions. As you can see, the top vendors and the top payers in the cargo industry are part of our solution. Here are some numbers about PayCargo. Right now we have more than 19,000 payers. This is funny because I sent the presentation with a smaller amount, and Lionel sent me an updated number, and it's grew drastically, especially because of the COVID. We see a drastic amount of new registration on a daily basis. So these are the most updated numbers. We have more than 19,000 payers registered, and you can see the top ones are part of our systems. We have more than 3,000 vendors registered, including major steamship lines, airlines, ground handling agents, terminals, ports, etc., all around the world. We are adding an average of 800 new payers every month and 150 vendors users. We are fully integrated with 14 logistics software providers, and this is one of the key options that we are having, because since we are already integrated with most common logistics software providers, so the integrations, most of the cases, it basically takes less than a week to be up and running. We also are part of 5 major import shipper associations. As last year, we processed over $4 billion. This year, we expect to double that amount, and due to COVID, for obvious reasons, we expect to have between 6 to 7 billions in payments. So moving forward to the PayCargo process, this is a workflow, a very simple workflow that more or less explains what are we doing and the steps, the PayCargo process and how we go step by step by providing information to both vendors and payers during the settlement and payment process. So basically, we start with the invoice creation that is usually generated by the vendor. That information is imported from the ERP system or any system from the vendor side. Remember, when we talk about vendors, meaning every company who is willing to get paid through our system. So we're talking about airlines, but also large freight forwarders or any other agent who is willing to get paid through our system. So basically what we do is we get the information, invoice information data from their system. We get that information and we pass that information to the payer. If there is a dispute, we have a dispute resolution tool available for dispute for faster resolution. The next step will be the payment. If the payer agrees with the invoice information, we offer different payment options for them to be able to select from a variety of credit cards options or prepaid or e-wallet, or even a direct debit or ACH based on the country that the company is located. The next step is basically the payment acknowledge. As soon as the payment is originated, is approved, there is a notification that we send to the vendor letting them know that the payment has been approved. And the last step is basically the remittance information. Why? Because what we are doing is we debit and credit per company a single amount. Let's say for the vendor, we create just one single amount, and that it will be reflected on its back statement the next morning. Together with that, we provide a report in the format they need. Usually it's a customized report containing all the hour bills that were paid the day before. The same we do for the payer. There's a single debit that we initiate, and next morning they will see a debit on its bank statement. And together with that, they will receive the remittance information, the ACH reconciliation report for the US, containing all the hour bills that were paid the day before. Now, having said that, we have a simplified workflow that is very popular in the US, which is basically we allow, instead of the invoice creation to be originated by the vendor, we allow the payer, the freight forwarder, to enter just 6 basic required fields and generate a transaction for them to be able to initiate a payment. And that's one feature. That's a feature that we call the same day release, because it's very popular based on the idea that we have agreements with each one of the steamship lines and airlines that are participant in the PayCargo system that allow them to release the cargo in 1 hour or 2 after reception of the payment acknowledged. Even though the payment didn't arrive immediately, it's not an immediate payment, but we guarantee that next morning the money will be on their account. So going deeper into the PayCargo solution, we have a 6 steps process. I would like to show you very quickly one by one. The first one is, as I mentioned, is input vendor invoice data. PayCargo offers a variety of integration capabilities. Of course, we are integrating most common ERP system, SAP, of course, cargo management system, logistics software solutions like CargoSpot, Airbus, Unisys, Axilia, IBS, or Dock and Roll. We have many more. We support most common formats for us to get that information. Of course, we have the ability to use the PayCargo, for our customers to use the PayCargo API, okay? And basically, in case the freight forwarder or the payer would like to generate a transaction within the system, we just request 6 simple fields like vendor name, and amount, due date, direction, and what else? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, no more than that. And we allow them to, of course, upload transaction-related attachments, booking details, mainly invoice details, PDF copies on the invoice details. Allow them to have all the information just one single place. In addition to that, we have today the Nexshore CEO who might provide you more details about the OneRecord data, IATA's OneRecord. But basically, with OneRecord, The data is also easily created by several methods. And they can, by using the OneRecord API, they can call and create the new transaction. And we at PayCargo are capable of receiving that information and allow them to make the payment from OneRecord site, because it's a single sign-in process. So it's basically customers who are using OneRecord are capable of initiating payment through PayCargo without going to PayCargo, because it's all integrated. The other option is OneRecord for freight forwarders. The freight forwarders are capable of entering the data, and it's fully integrated with PayCargo, so we can get that information. Again, same thing. They can originate the payment through PayCargo without going to PayCargo, but just using the IATA's OneRecord solution. The second step is basically for PayCargo to feed the payer's ERP system with vendor invoice data. So what we do is we get information from the vendor, we reformat, and we pass that information to the payer for them to be able to import that information. And then what we assist with is an internal data cross-reference process. We provide information for them to be able to compare. They basically make a comparison between what we provide with what they have on their system, for them to be able to find if there is any discrepancy. If there is any discrepancy, we have a dispute resolution tool per item, per AWL bill. Let's say that you have an invoice with multiple AWL bills. You can dispute a single AWL bill. So our system, what it does is originates a notification that can be used, that can be sent through the API or connected to the vendor side, or even an email, that the notification, it's rerouted to the right person on the vendor side in charge of the payer. So on the payer account. So what we are doing is basically facilitating the dispute resolution process and accelerating the dispute resolution process. Worst case scenario, we have our support team that after a week, if no dispute has been responded, basically our support team picks up the phone and call them to find out the reason for the dispute. So basically our main goal is for everybody to solve the dispute before the due date. Let's say that let's say that dispute has been solved. So we allow through either our website or through the PayCargo API to make a payment, what we call approve the payment, by using different payment methods. The most common ones are in the US ACH, and in Europe we have the direct debits, the SEPA direct debits, but also we have solutions like prepaid or even credit card. We are quite flexible on the way that customers are willing to pay. In some cases, we guarantee the payment. In some cases, we cannot. But it's just a matter of understanding or understanding the customer needs and find the best solution for all. So let's say that the customer has been already paid. So, and we notify the vendor about the payment. Next day, as I mentioned before, PayCargo triggers a daily settlement reconciliation report. It's basically a regular report. It can be provided in any format. It's also, we can call a vendor's API for automatic import and update for the vendor to know exactly all the AWL bills that were paid the day before. And the same we do for the payer. Together with the debit that we make, remember, we make a single debit. And usually what we do is in the bank statement, we include a batch number of PayCargo batch number that is exactly associated with that specific report. So you have full control of the amount, but also you know exactly all the AWL bills that were paid the day before. So So here is OneRecord at PayCargo. And I think this is a very good idea to show you how we work with a strategic partner. Nexshore, it's the company behind IATA's OneRecord solution, is a PayCargo strategic partner who, together with PayCargo, have developed the first integrated payment solution for the IATA's OneRecord hackathon last September in London. Participants were able to make and take payments online using different payment options through PayCargo, of course, straight from OneRecord cloud-based solution. That way they got benefit from PayCargo features just as accounting reports or refund assistant as part of the OneRecord single solution initiative. So what is OneRecord? I mean, Nexshore defines OneRecord as a data as a service solution. OneRecord is an end-to-end digital logistic and transport supply chain data network. It's a standard for data sharing by creating a single record view of the shipment. This standard defines a common data model for all information that is shared through their OneRecord API. OneRecord is a cloud-based solution which assures a secure, reliable, and cost-effective air cargo data sharing between the OneRecord participants. Why it's a new standard? It's basically because the data is built collectively and creates a single source of information. It also provides more data available than any other solution because it uses IoT, Internet of Things, information provided by default by top airlines, like temperature, location, shakes, and I mean, if the cargo drops, it notifies you about all these or delays. It notifies you everything on the spot. That way you can take better decisions as a customer or even trigger automated action based on this type of updates. And this is very important to mention. We are focusing on automating everything that is possible. So based on the data that we provide or OneRecord provides, you can make the right decisions. And this is what the industry is going to. This is a OneRecord integration. As I mentioned, they can use for OneRecord to connect to OneRecord and create data that later can be integrated with PayCargo for payments. They have the OneRecord API. They have the OneRecord data integration with in-house systems like PayCargo, or OneRecord for freight forwarders, which is basically the website, their website. So how to share data? Customers establish their network, adding their partner by searching them on the OneRecord directory. OneRecord simply does the rest. There is a OneRecord API option with any back office system integration. So there is no need to change legacy system. So it's basically a simple transition. The winning or the amount of data that you will be able to receive, it's way bigger. The other day I've been talking to Pramod about this, and the difference between other solutions, it's basically in other solutions you send a message or a message file, and here you share data. Data, it's not a shipping data. It's not just the invoice details or the bill of lading details. You have a drastic amount of information related to that shipment. So based on that information, you can make the right decisions. Once again, the bookings are integrating, the booking on OneRecord are integrated with PayCargo. So if you make a book, and you receive a quote and you initiate a booking through OneRecord, you can immediately approve that shipment by just hitting a PayCargo button, and then you book the cargo and you're already paid in just one single place. In case any dispute arises, then basically OneRecord is capable of initiating a dispute the same way you can either initiate a dispute through either PayCargo or OneRecord, because both systems are integrated. This is all of the OneRecord features. I would like to highlight a couple of them. Customers can search for and receive quotes. So basically, it's a quotation system, and customer also can confirm bookings, as I mentioned before, and pay through PayCargo, because we have a single sign-in. You don't have to go to PayCargo to make the payment, but you can simply use OneRecord. With OneRecord, customers can also send waybill data to airlines. I think this is very important, and also start receiving shipment status updates and data when available. Also get alert to services failures, and the dispute resolution, as I mentioned, originated through OneRecord, can be made through either OneRecord or PayCargo. Of course, the invoice data sharing with freight forwarders and can be also shared for payment via PayCargo as well. So going back to the PayCargo benefits, we identified the main benefits for our payers, basically freight forwarders, is a drastic reduction in labor costs through automation of matching process and payment approvals. I mean, just keep in mind that the manual input and validation of each invoice takes a lot of time, and it's all manual. It's all manual process. There is a drastic reduction on error-prone manual input and duplicated payment prevention. We improve visibility of cash flow forecast information and avoid non-collections. Now, here's the thing. We are very good providing reporting tools to customers, not just cash flow forecast report that we can provide, but also a customized report at no cost to both vendors and payers for them to be able to see, for instance, dispute-related information, like how long it took for a dispute to be solved, or who was responsible for that dispute, what are the most common categories that and who is the vendor who is that you're having more dispute with. So we are basically providing you the data that you own in a format that you can read. Your system or your people can read. And of course, the last one is the ability to pay all vendors just one single place. You don't have to, I mean, imagine that you have, as a freight forwarder, you have to pay airlines, but also steamship lines, terminals, ports. So you can do everything in just one single place. These are the main vendor benefits. There is a reduction in collection costs because just keep in mind that following the flow, as soon as the invoice is generated, the data is immediately sent to the payer. So if the customer has a corporate credit, so they have a few days to initiate a dispute, solve the dispute, and there is no more reasons to say, I didn't pay you because there is a single dispute, or I didn't pay you because I didn't receive the invoice. Because here, the benefit is that you receive the invoice immediately and you have plenty of time to solve any type of dispute. Of course, there is a significant reduction of DSO. And again, it's an integration with one system, connect to all of your customers. So basically, you connect to PayCargo and you can start uploading all our invoices to PayCargo. You can send all your invoices to PayCargo. Basically, your payer will start making payments through just one single platform. And of course, a single statement each morning detailing the funds deposited. This is very useful for reconciliation purposes. You receive just one amount, and then later on, you have the report containing all the overbills that were paid the day before, and you can either review it manually or you can import it straight into your system. So here's the thing. We have implementation stages so far, and we are having 3 stages that we are contemplating developing for the next year. The first step is basically euros to euro payments. it's already in place. So every customer who is willing to make local payments in euros or in US dollars, I invite you to please join our PayCargo network, because we are capable of managing that payment solution for those customers. Now, for stage number 2, we are expecting having a total global payment solution. So everybody at the global level will be able to pay and get paid globally and at very convenient rates. And the third stage will be the automatic clearing and settlement. Basically, it's a netting that it's in the pipeline. We would love to have, as soon as we have the global payment up and running, to be able to get neutral partners feedback on how to develop the best way possible the netting system, so your members will be able to pay and net balances worldwide, and of course at a very convenient rate. So next step, it's very simple registration process. All you have to do is go to neutralairpartner.paycargo.com to sign in. And if you'd like to initiate payments in our platform, you have to register as a payer. Otherwise, you have to register as a vendor to receive payments. So that's the presentation. Please let me know. I would love to start having any type of question that you might have in regards to our solution for the cargo industry.
Thank you, Leo. So for the Q&A session, I will let Christos and Yelena, if there are any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Leo, for the very nice presentation. So now I will try to help a bit the conversation, the questions, knowing how the NAP members are thinking, and not only, I would say, every international freight forwarder. So we can understand that every NAP member or a freight forwarder consolidator can receive or make payments through the PayCargo system. This is clear. Now, my question is that can the members or the future freight forwarders clients can settle payment to various members worldwide and provide, and if the system provides counterbalance solutions, because that's happening all the time in our industry, there's a receivables and payables, so there's always a counterbalance solution. Do you have something on that?
Correct. That's in the pipeline. I'm sorry. That's in the pipeline. That's our goal for next year. So basically the idea would be to, again, the idea is we have in the pipeline, we have different options that originally and always we do that. We basically, we request for feedback, your members in this case would love to have feedback in order to see how can we approach or how can we create a solution that works exactly and match exactly your needs. So that's basically the main reason for waiting to have a global solution, because compared to the global solution, the netting piece is not that difficult to build.
Okay, but at the moment, NAP member A can pay someone in Amsterdam and in New York in US dollar at the same time through the system, or paying all the suppliers at the end of the month that they owe money, they can pay it automatically through the system.
Correct. But we would
that includes, of course, that includes overseas, NAP members, overseas agents, that they are kind of like a vendors in the system, but includes also the local vendors, could be an airline, a ground handling agent, and so on and so on.
Absolutely. We mainly are focusing right now on the local payments, and that's why we expect the global solution to be ready by next year. But yes, the local payment is ready and it's up and running, and it's basically working. So all you have to do is go to this website and get registered. The registration takes minutes, and you could start paying or getting paid through PayCargo.
Basically, once we integrate all the NFP members as vendors or clients to the system, wherever is available, depending on the regions and the countries as well, every NFP member can use the payment solutions.
Exactly. That's basically the idea. We are becoming a global solution. We are becoming a real global solution where you can basically pay anybody in the world and get paid from anybody in the world.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. What type of air cargo industry suppliers are integrated into the system so far?
Would you like to, I don't know if Audrey or...
Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean with integration? The software suppliers?
No, the type of vendors like airlines, handling agents.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the airlines, we have the ground handlers connected to the system and the freight forwarders. So all the major ground handlers like Denata, like Swissport, Menzies, KLM, in case they are their own ground handler, they are connected to the system. But you have to take in consideration that we are not as far as the US, because the US is doing this for 12 years now. And we are doing this for 2 years. So there's a lot of preaching involved as well. But we are very successful in connecting the ground handlers and the airlines in Europe.
Thank you. And what happens if the carrier or vendor is not listed?
Then we make him listed. So what we do in many cases is if a freight forwarder wants to pay ground handlers or airlines, we ask them for a list of 10 or 20 vendors, and we go personally to those vendors and we explain the benefit of PayCargo, and that in most cases is enough to make them register. That's what we did in Amsterdam. That's what we did in London. Almost every ground handler in London already agreed to participate. So we ask you for the ground handlers and airlines, and we will approach them to register.
Audrey, if I can add on to that, one of the ways that we've really grown the network here in the US is exactly like you said, but we take it to a more granular level now because we've already grown and developed so much and we've got that market coverage. So what we do is both our salespeople as well as our customer experience team, whenever they're speaking to a payer or to a vendor for that matter of fact, they basically ask them, if it's a vendor, who are the payers that still outstanding in a specific location? So we really don't talk high level about the US, we talk about station level. Because each station have got different players there as it's the same in all around the globe, right? So finding out who those partners are, who are the 80-20 rule major players, and then connecting them. And that's the same on the payer side. When we speak to the users, I think it's one thing speaking to CFOs and the directors, etc. But we found it very, very efficient to speak to the actual users using the system at station level on the ground to find out what works for them, who needs to be closed in terms of new vendors or payers, and then we do that. So if that's been a huge part of our success in being able to grow this ecosystem.
So if I can take an example of Nippon Express, for example, in Amsterdam, Nippon Express gives us the list of 20 vendors, and we go to the vendors, and now nobody says no because they want to receive the money. So it's that easy. So we use.
I guess the whole thing goes for the whole vendor supply chain, including GSAs. I mean, many countries in Europe, and not only the smaller countries or in the rest of the world. I mean, you have very few airlines, and you have a lot of GSAs that they have non-cash accounts where they receive payments. I guess GSAs are also a part of the vendors that we can put in the system, right?
Yeah, correct.
Absolutely. And what we're also seeing is, as soon as COVID hit earlier this year, we saw a change in the behavior of our payers and vendors. So traditionally, as Leo explained, it was very clear on the ocean side, your vendors were your ports and your major carriers, the MSCs and the Hapag-Lloyds, etc. of this world. And then on the air side, it was the airlines and the ground handlers. And in the middle, you had this common pool of payers who were your freight forwarders, your beneficial cargo owners, etc. What's changed is that we're seeing a lot of the payers now becoming vendors and a lot of the vendors becoming payers. And then you're also seeing a lot of payers paying each other. So for example, DHL transacting with FedEx or UPS, etc. So our system has really evolved from what it was initially conceptualized as an urgent payment solution to a logistics chain all-encompassing payment solution. So, if we're talking about trucking, rail, etc., anything that ties in on the logistics side, all of those payments, we are now moving forward with the payments.
And one more question on that. Is PayCargo associated directly with IATA CAS or CNS in USA or individually with the airlines? I mean, how would that work?
So basically what we've done with IATA and with CNS, so keeping in mind that CNS is the US cargo arm for IATA, is it's relationships and contracts that we got in place that's more of a marketing role where we support each other. So for example, in the US, there is no CAS import system. IATA or CNS only had an export system. So initially the idea was that instead of developing the import side, they will use PayCargo and support PayCargo and introduce us obviously to all of their members to promote it, which has worked really well. On the global side with IATA, it's similar. It's IATA's CAS system. The export side tends to be strong. The import side is pretty weak. And they really don't want to invest a lot of money on that import side. And right now, obviously, with COVID, as we know, money is tight, so there's not going to be any investments. So IATA made the decision that they would support PayCargo as the preferred import settlement solution globally, where they do not have CAS solutions. What I can tell you is, once again, we're finding, and even on the export side now, a lot of the airlines are coming to us and saying, where there is no IATA CAS system, we would like to start using PayCargo to help facilitate those payments. So PayCargo is not an IATA solution or tied in directly. I can tell you now that we're working with a lot of the freight forwarding associations, building solutions also. And I can maybe, just to touch on that, what Leo talked about on the netting side, we should have that solution built by the end of this year. We're already developing it for a major freight forwarding association. And then it's basically plug and play from there, listening to, for example, Neutral Air Partner, your members, what works for them, and taking that and just tweaking it to be really beneficial. But we fully understand it, and that capability is already there. We're already busy testing it. Okay.
So, I mean, I understood 100%. When you talk about the import solutions, are you talking, I mean, the IATA import solution, you're talking about the freight collect shipments that are arriving on import on a master air bill? Like, is that what you're talking, or you're talking about the local handling charges on arrival?
It's traditionally been the local handling charges, right? So all of the import service fees, your storage fees, etc. Exactly. I mean, if you think about the whole reason why PayCargo was initially created was to facilitate the urgent release of cargo. So it was the idea was that people realized that cargo was being held back, or the release of cargo was being held back because of payments. It was basically, checks or slow formats of payments being made, reconciliation processes that took a lot of time, etc. So that was originally the idea and the problem that we were solving. But now, it's, as I said, it's expanded to basically provide that service across all modes and across all areas of the logistics industry. One thing I could maybe just add is one of the big benefits in the US, for example, and we haven't talked about that yet, is we with the integrations with some of the larger payers, we provide them a lot of visibility over and control over their own organizations. So for example, one of the issues they have is that they do not have visibility on who's paying what at station level, because what happens is normally these payments are made and then they get post, a month later or a month and a half later, they get reports in what was paid, how much, etc. With PayCargo now, they can actually put in controls to say, okay, person X at a certain station can only enter a transaction. Person Y can approve, but they can only approve to a certain limit, certain time period. So in a week, they can approve a certain amount. Over weekends, it's a different amount. Certain payers, they can pay a certain amount, vendors, other vendors, they cannot. So all of that visibility and control comes into play also. So it's a lot more about data in actual fact than facilitating payments now and giving that control to the companies.
And I have one more question. Within mutual partner, within our network, we have a sub-industry group called NAC Consolidators, which the majority of the members, they're neutral wholesalers, consolidators, and master loaders, offering service to smaller and medium-sized transport-related companies and freight forwarders and customs brokers. Can they become automatically vendor into the system? Because basically they're offering services to transport-related companies. Is it something we can put them as vendors?
No, I see no reason.
Okay.
Why not? Audrey, you want to take it?
Yeah, so basically everybody in that community, that cargo community, can use PayCargo, whether it's a vendor or a payer, and they can be both as well. So everybody in the network can be a participant in the PayCargo network.
Okay, so it's completely up to the user to define vendors and clients into the system.
Exactly.
Clear. Thank you.
And perhaps I can add a little bit on the import side. In Amsterdam at Schiphol Airport, the ground handlers are using it for export services as well. So
Yeah.
not only the import, but also the export services.
Yes, for the export terminal handling and the local charges and so on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And how does PayCargo guarantee for the payment?
We don't. We transfer the money when we receive the money. The situation in Europe is a little bit different than in the US, because in the US it's mainly urgent payments, and it makes no sense if we don't guarantee the payment. So if PayCargo tells a vendor that the money is on its way and they can release the cargo, that should not be an obstacle if the money is not there. In Europe, we have credit mostly. So there is no urgent payment in that sense. And there's also no reason why we should guarantee. If the freight forwarder gives you a 30 days credit, it's their own risk. We cannot guarantee the fact that you give 30 days credit to somebody who's not paying.
Thank you. And what is the associated cost with PayCargo? And if there is any minimum monthly transaction volume required?
There's no minimum in the first place. And when we talk about cost, we like to discuss volumes as well, because it depends a little bit on volumes. And then I'm not talking so much about individual volumes, but say volumes of neutral partners. If we can say make a good guess on volumes, I can quote you a certain price per airway bill that we will charge.
And how long does it take for neutral air partner members to be part of the PayCargo system?
Leo?
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, basically, it's a registration process that you go to, as you can see, neutralairpartners.paycargo.com. The registration is quite simple for payers. It's almost immediate. We just request for European customers to provide us with a B2B mandate, okay, for us to be able to debit from their account. We might request some statement information and some other related information, but it's minor. What we usually do is we pick up the phone and try to and call and contact the customer to see if they have the right permissions to register in sign up in PayCargo. So basically, it's of course, in addition to all many validation screening process that we are following, like OFAC validation or different type of valid screening process that in most of the cases are automatic. So we estimate that from one day to another, the customer will be able to be set up ready to start in the system. So it's basically we're talking about a day or two.
24 hours, 48 hours?
Yes, exactly.
Great.
One more thing to make clear, because I see some questions coming in and we discussed a little bit before. Just to make it clear, so PayCargo is not working for payments through IATA cash. It's only for non-cash vendors, right?
That is correct.
Correct. To make it 100%, yeah.
Okay.
One other thing I could maybe just add on is one of our forms of payment, and I'm talking about the US market here, but it's the same globally, is that we offer credit card payments. What's important there, and both, you know, for the current payers in our system who are becoming vendors, it's really helping them because we become the merchant of record. And what does that mean? It means obviously that there's no cost to you as a vendor in our system to receive credit card payments. So our traditional vendors have been, we initially thought the adoption rate's going to be slow, and we were blown out of the water by the amount of support that we had with this new product when we introduced it earlier this year. And it's also driven, as I said, a lot of our current payers to look at their business models and see where are they receiving credit card payments from within the industry for services, and then they are transitioning to PayCargo to facilitate those credit card payments.
Okay.
We just got one question now that we're talking about the payments. So one of the benefits, would you say that one of the benefits using PayCargo is that the members wouldn't pay banking fees? Or sorry, let's do it like this. So the benefit of using PayCargo is that members do not pay banking fee when they pay the USA creditor.
So is this a question for the US market or?
Yes.
In general, it was just an example.
Okay, just as an example. So in the US, where our business model is to charge a fee per transaction. That fee per transaction, right now, the standard fee without volume discounts is $7.50. And let me just take a step back there. If you have a look at our business, we've got thousands and thousands of small to medium sized businesses doing anything from 10 to 25 transactions. So really not high volume transactions. And then we've obviously got the larger payers who are doing tens of thousands of transactions a month. So that's where, you know, when we talk about our small to medium players, the standard rates are $7.50. Those larger volume guys, we negotiate based on what that volume is that they're going to be driving through the system. Now, if you look at $7.50 and that as the standard rate, in the US, and it's different to Europe, obviously, in the US, checks are still very prevalent, and and vouchers, etc. So a lot of outdated paper-based payment processes. A standard check process, and we validated this from the larger payers to some of the small to medium enterprise guys. the minimum, if you're very efficient, is going to cost you from about $17.50 for that process to the $40 for one payment, to have that check process run through your system and to get the check across to the vendor and to have that reconciled. And then you're not even talking about disputes and the time it takes to get the cargo released, etc. So the value there from the $7.50 to what that process is for them is a big value add. And if you also then have a look at all the additional value that, as I mentioned, the controls, the visibility over data, the streamlining of processes, that's not even calculated in there. So from a cost perspective, it's really efficient. And then once again, depending if you are a payer, but you also become a vendor, then you start looking at it differently, right? Because you might be paying $7.50 for those transactions. But then if you're also receiving payments, you're saving quite a bit on that side. Plus, you got a lot of efficiency that you got one central portal where you can go to pay all of your vendors across the industry and across modes. So it makes it a lot of very efficiently for the payers.
One question from some of the members from a European perspective, an example. So I'm sitting somewhere in Europe. I have 10 vendors in US, separate vendors that I will have to pay at the end of the month. Usually what I do now, I will send 10 different wire transfers. That will be for US. And then for Europe, I might have like 20 different vendors, ground handling agents, some non-cash airlines, GSA agents, some local wholesalers. So in that way, does it mean that I load my money into the system, let's say it's $100,000, and put them into the system, and from this $100,000 automatically, it will go directly to 10 vendors in US, or from 50,000 euro, it will go automatically to 5 vendors in Europe?
So there's different ways that you can run this, right? You could, and I'm talking once again from the US, the North American perspective, you can decide that you're going to make those payments, each payment for a specific vendor, right? And you can use a credit card, you can use an ACH if you've got an account in the US, or you could do exactly what you were talking about there. So if you somebody that's head office outside of the North American market, you can pre-fund an account with PayCargo, and you can and then you can pre-fund that account as many times as you want to. So the most efficient way to do that, obviously taking in the cost of wire transfers, is to do a large pre-fund, and then you transact for a month or 2 or 3 until your balance starts reducing. And then as that balance gets to a certain point, that you just refund it again, versus, doing multiple wire transfers to be able to facilitate those payments.
And of course, if I understood correctly, also from Leo's presentation, one of the benefits and the advantages is the automated approval of the invoices from the vendors, and any disputes, it goes automated, so we don't have to go the manual procedures that we as an industry, we're facing on a day-to-day basis.
Correct. We're changing from a process of probably takes minimum 2 hours based on what I'm seeing. If it takes from invoice validation and payment, it takes a minimum of 2 hours to seconds through PayCargo. So it's basically a 2-hour process of reviewing the information, inputting all the information in the system, comparing with the rates, and then validate it, and then send for approval. With PayCargo, this takes seconds.
Okay, very good.
Per invoice.
Some other questions?
Is the system available worldwide?
Right now, we have only available in North America and Europe, including UK. In the future, yes.
And the Middle East.
And the Middle East.
Yeah.
So the plan is by 2021, create a global solution.
Yes, exactly.
Will that include also China?
No.
No, China, we actually had a roadmap to have China launched in 2021, the start of 2021. Obviously, COVID happened, so that put the brakes on that process. We're still evaluating it, but I'm guessing that towards the end of 2021, 2022, China might be on a market that will open up. But at this point in time, it's extremely difficult to be able to do that, because in order to do the business in China and set it up, we have to be there, and we need to be able to go and meet with partners and set that up. And it's just not possible right now.
Thanks.
Excellent. I would like to emphasize a bit. You spoke before, and I have discussed that with Adrian before and Leonardo about the netting solution, which basically this is what the industry needs, and that's what everybody is looking for. I mean, looking at our specifically our air freight forwarding industry, I mean, they are like suffering from hundreds of monthly bank transactions for overseas agents on a monthly basis. I mean, as you can understand, that is a lot of money, high bank charges for numerous outward and inward advices, and it's small bank transactions with costly foreign exchange, currency exchange deals, like Forex deals, cash flow headaches, very important. And that's, I think, for me, I mean, put in the hat of an air freight forwarder that have been in the past, it's the uncertainty as to the payment date and the visibility over payments. That's a headache. And then the other problem is the huge reconciliation work and much more administration and overheads. When you have a whole team that on a monthly basis have to go to every single overseas agent and agree on a balance and a payable or a receivable and a contra balance, and when you're going to receive the payment, to receive money from member A in order to pay member B and member C, and that is something what the industry is really looking for. And we have, of course, discussed that before with Adrian and Leonardo, and I think this will be a great solution. I mean, once and by next year, as far as I can understand, we can come into something like that to create, together with PayCargo, a mutual partner netting solution together. That I would believe would be great for our members and for the industry in general. Now it happens that it's an NAP on air webinar, but I believe that's more for the entire industry, like air freight forwarders in general. I think that would be the solution that the industry is looking for.
Yep. Yeah, I think you just need a little bit of patience. I'm thinking that we will, as I said, you'll be impressed when you see it. It's a really great solution. We'll be launching that with the other partner by the end of the year. That's the plan. So in Q1, most probably towards the end of Q1, we'll be at a point where we can sit with you and really show you the system, and then talk about your needs and how does it tie into that. But I hear you. It's exactly that we're working on, and it brings a huge amount of centralization, visibility. You don't have to try and think about what was the transaction when. It's all recorded in a central place that you got visibility on. And it makes, it very easy in terms of what needs to be paid, because all of the netting is done there and it's very visible and very transparent. And obviously from a cost perspective, it's, instead of having all of these bank fees and wires and etc., it just makes it so much easier. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. We're looking forward to that. I know we're going to spend, we'll spend some time, preparing our netting solution in the next year. I'm really looking forward to that. And I have a last question. As you know, our industry is a bit flexible, so I have questions from members that they're thinking. So how about if I'm in China or in India or in Latin America, but I do have a bank account in UK, in Europe, or in the United States, can I use it to make payments?
Yes.
I can still be in Colombia, but I'm having an office in Miami, or I can be in China and having a bank account in Europe. Then I can use the system to make payments from others.
Exactly.
Correct.
I understand, Lionel, that in the States there are some Mexican companies having US bank accounts.
Yeah, as any person or any company from around the world, if they're opening up an account and they've got an account in the US, they can pre-fund those accounts and then be working with PayCargo, right? Now, the netting solution I was telling you about, part of that, the whole concept also was, and I'll give you a bit of a teaser and taste on where this is heading. is the way that we've conceptualized this is that it's all based on USD accounts right now. So it's anybody from around the globe can establish a USD prepaid account in the PayCargo system, and that will allow them to transact with anybody else who is established in a similar account, right? Because then they can just do those transfers between each other. The only thing that's required, obviously, is for them to do 1 or 2 wire transfers a year, depending on how they want to manage it, to pre-fund those accounts. And then if they want to repatriate funds back home, that's the other cost. But if you take that into consideration compared to all your other costs that you're doing today, it's the savings are huge. And now you've got a platform that not only allows you to transact with each other, but it also opens you up to transacting with all the other PayCargo networks.
Yeah, that's good. And is it working also for Europe as well? I mean, I'm sitting in India and I can send money in my PayCargo account, let's say, and then pay all my European suppliers.
Yes.
Is it something that can work that way?
Same way. Yes, exactly. Same way.
Excellent. Perfect. Yes, I think, 10 minutes after late, but I think it was worth it because we answered a lot of questions, and I'm sure we need, once you also, developing your own products and everything, we might need to make some more new webinars with some updates, because I think that's the only way. We need to have some more interaction. We might need to think of a different timing where we can have also the West Coast or Asia or Asia Pacific with us. But yes, congratulations for what you're doing, and we're really, really looking forward to do something more together. And eventually, of course, if we could create a netting solution, would be the ideal for the network and for the industry in general. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
Gentlemen on the panel, and a lady, of course, Yelena. So, okay. As I mentioned at the start, if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to email us. We have been recording the webinar, and we will make a summary and with all important points and questions raised. Also, one last thing, do not miss the 4th NAP on a webinar next week, November 11th, same time. So next week we have Logisin, NAP strategic partner, and Mr. Michael Olesen, and we will be presenting Logisin insights and trends in the merger and acquisition market. It will focus on recent mid-market logistics, M&A trends in the freight forwarding and 3PL space, and how they affect buyers and sellers. Attendees will be able to understand the impact of COVID-19 on businesses, gain insights into recent M&A deal flows, and appreciate how Logisin delivers value to NAP members. So save the date for next week. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, Yelena.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.